Hi everyone, thanks for checking out this video. So I think this will be the last video in the second project, although I think I might do one more video after this, just like wrapping up the whole course and giving you guys some more resources for like further learning. But yeah, this is just like one more video to finally wrap up this GWAS project. So yeah, I showed you guys already how to make a Manhattan plot, and then this video will just be a couple like more checks for these like SNPs of interest that we found. So if you guys remember, we found this whole list of like SNPs of interest that came up significant after the Bonferroni correction. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit more code to just do some more basic checks about these SNPs that came up as significant, basically. And yeah, before that, just like quickly remind you guys, the code is available on my GitHub. Here's the link, and I'll also put the link in the description. So yeah, if you want to follow along with the code, yeah, it's right here, basically. Okay, so this code that I'm about to show you guys will basically be ways to check individual SNPs so that you can plug in one of these SNP IDs that came up significant. So I'm just showing you guys the first one for an example, this one here. But you can plug in whichever one you want. Probably the significant ones will be the most interesting, but you could always plug in a non-significant one too. But yeah, you can plug in any of the SNP IDs and then basically just like pull out an array with that SNP information, those like SNP genotypes, and then yeah, just have that to work with. So I'll show you guys just this block of code. Yeah, just pulling out the data for this SNP of interest. We have all of our genotypes here for the first significant SNP. And then so maybe we want to just like basically try to get an idea of how the genotype for this SNP was impacting the probability, or sorry, I should be careful with my wording here, how it was associated with the probability that someone became a zombie after being bit. Yeah, I don't exactly want to say impacting or causing, because technically at this point we don't know if this is like a causal relationship or just a correlation. But yeah, we can try to get an idea of how the genotype for this SNP was associated with the probability of someone turning into a zombie after they got bit. So maybe what we want to do is just like print out the probability that someone became a zombie after getting bit for different genotypes, basically. So I won't explain every single line of this code. You guys can kind of work through it yourselves if you want to understand like what every line here is doing. But yeah, this is just a block of code for printing out what percentage of people with each genotype were zombies. So for people with genotype 0, meaning 2 copies of the reference for this, 2 copies of the reference allele for this SNP, for people with the genotype 0, about 98% of them were zombies, meaning they turned into zombies after being bit, and then about 2% stayed normal after being bit. So if you had, in other words, if you had a G on both of your chromosomes for this SNP, if you had a G and then another G on both of your chromosome copies, the people with that genotype, about 98% of them turned into zombies after being bit. And then for people with a genotype of 1, meaning 1 copy of the reference allele and 1 copy of the alternate allele for this SNP, meaning one of their chromosome copies had a G at this position and the other one had an A. For people with that genotype, about 58% were zombies, meaning they turned into a zombie after being bit. And then for people with 2 copies of the alternate allele, meaning both of their chromosome copies had an A in this position, only about 5% were zombies. So again, at this point, we can't technically say anything about causation. We can only really talk about correlation and like statistical association. So we can't exactly say that that the alternate allele is causing someone to be protected from turning into a zombie, and the reference allele is causing them to be at risk for turning into a zombie. We can't exactly say anything about causation, but at this point, that might be a good hypothesis to start working with. That the alternate allele in this SNP position has some kind of protective effect, maybe, that if you have 1 or 2 copies of it, it maybe helps protect you from turning into a zombie if you get bit by a zombie. Again, we haven't proven any causation here, but that at this point, that might be like a reasonable hypothesis to start thinking about, like, testing further, basically. And then, so another thing we can do is plot the data. So again, here, this is like similar to the plots that I was showing you guys way back in like the early videos we did talking about the logistic regression method. Yeah, just this type of a plot. We can make this plot now for this particular SNP of interest, where we can plot on the horizontal axis the genotype 0, 1, or 2 copies of the alternate allele. And then for each of these genotypes, we can plot with these little dots how many people were normal with a 0 and how many people were zombies with a 1. And then these dots here are like jittered just to make it easier to see, so that they're not all like bunched up, overlapping themselves. I added these like jitters, but this is like a discrete axis. Like these ones here aren't like 0 point something. They're like all of these here are 0, and all of these here are 1 and then 2. So yeah, again, there's just like a way of visually showing the relationship between the genotype and the phenotype. And then if we want to, we can go ahead and rerun the logistic regression for this SNP of interest. And then, like we did before in the earlier videos, we can then plot the fit logistic curve on top of the data for this SNP. And yes, that's basically like these plots can basically be like a way of exploring and like visualizing the relationship of these particular SNPs that came up significant. You guys might now want to try plugging in a couple more of them maybe and just seeing what you get. But yeah, it's just a couple more plots to help visualize things here, basically. Okay, so that's all I have for this video, and really that's all I have for the second project. So yeah, I'm proud of you guys for making it all this way. I hope you learned something. Hope these videos were useful for you. If anything was confusing, like I usually say, just please leave a comment and I'll try to explain further if anything didn't make sense. But yeah, that was our simple like educational GWAS project. Yeah, hope you guys learned something. And again, many parts of this project were simplified to make it easy on us. I left out some things that might have been additional complications in like a real life project. But yeah, the point was to be educational, and yeah, I hope you guys now have a better sense of GWAS, basically. So yeah, that's it for this video. I think I'm going to do one more video to close out the course. And in the next video, I think I'm just going to go over some more like resources for if any of you guys want to continue learning bioinformatics further now that you've made it through this course. So I think the next video will be showing you guys some like good free resources for further learning if you decide you want to keep learning even more about bioinformatics. So yeah, thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.